Right. I think we're good to get started now. Thank you guys for being here. We're really excited today to continue our webinar series with some really cool information that we get to roll out. And it's awesome to see a lot of familiar faces and some new ones today as well. So thank you all for being here. Today we are going to be talking about a quick overview of the supports that we offer from USBE, and then we're going to dive into some legislation looking at medically excused absences and commonly asked questions around that. And then we'll be rolling out our statewide attendance campaign with a lot of the resources and supports that we're going to be providing throughout that. Followed up by a quick dive into September Attendance Awareness Month to give you guys some tools to kind of kick off the school year with an initiative around attendance. And then as time allows, we'll be diving into attendance teaming and allowing for questions at the end as well. So to start out, our supports to LEAs, a lot of these might be familiar to quite a few of you that have been on these webinars, but just a quick reminder, we have already started our 25-26 engagement and attendance cohorts. This is a year-long cohort where we work with individual LEAs and schools to help build their attendance systems, focusing around Tier 1 strategies and interventions, looking at revising policies, especially post-COVID, to make sure we're in alignment with statute and board rule, and then developing MTSS structures around attendance, creating an attendance messaging campaign, and then also looking at calendaring the year for attendance to stay on track, setting goals, and being able to reach those as well as looking at laws, board rules around attendance, and that compliance component as well, and then sharing best practices with other cohort members and developing campaigns, initiatives, and incentives to help promote positive engagement throughout the school year with students and families. We do have this webinar series, which is bi-monthly. So our upcoming webinars, we have September 9th and then November 18th. And then coming into 2026, we'll be doing it January 13th, March 10th, and May 5th to round out the school year. Our last webinar, we rolled out our attendance toolkit that we developed last year. There's a link on the site for this, but it's also posted up on our USB website. The toolkit is really kind of that kickoff with steps to help you start engaging in your attendance systems development. We look at teaming, stakeholder engagement, data and how you can utilize that, MTSS structures, and then figuring out how to reflect, adjust, and celebrate your practices and your gains, as well as current board rule and legislation with updates from our policy team on what that specifically means for LEAs and schools as they're looking at that. We've also this last year started our monthly attendance newsletters. We're sending those out to all of our attendance contacts at LEAs and schools. We look at important updates, research that we're finding out about at USB, articles, and current Utah success stories that we're able to share out. If you want to be part of that newsletter and you're not currently on there, please reach out to my teammate, Megan Menlove. Her email is right there, megan.menlove@schools.utah.gov, and we'll get you added to that newsletter mailing list. Another support USB provides is Check and Connect. This initially started in the state of Utah as a YIC, so youth and care intervention, but it is now expanded to the prevention side. And it is the only evidence-based Tier 2 mentoring program that's been cleared by the What Works Clearinghouse. We look at students' ABCs, which is their attendance, behavior, and course performance, to help keep them on track with the goal to re-engage with schools and ultimately, obviously, to graduate. If you're looking at expanding or starting Check and Connect, you can reach out to me. My email is provided. We'll also have a slide at the end that has our contact information. But we've created a statewide data dashboard, and USB has taken on the contract. So we provide all training and resources to LEAs for free. We just don't have the funding to provide mentors. So that's the kind of caveat where you have to come up with that, looking through grants or existing positions that you already have. All right, I'm going to pass this over to Megan, who's going to dive into some attendance legislation and commonly asked questions.
All right, good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining us this morning. Just a couple of, we're trying to, in each of our webinars this year, to make sure that we are addressing some legislation to make sure you guys know. People are always asking, like, what does the law say? What are the things that we can or cannot do? And this is a question we get asked a lot. And if you've read the most recent attendance audit that just came out as well, this was also brought up in the audit that there's a lot of confusion around medically excusing absences in schools. So the simple answer is can you require medical documentation to excuse absences? The answer is no. But I wanted to show you just kind of a couple of places where you can see that. So I'm going to drop the link to the first part here. It says, where can I find legislation that talks about medically excusing absences? So I just, I'm gonna, let's see, drop this into the chat so you can see this link. Can you guys see that? If you click on that link, it'll take you directly to the code 53G6201, which has all of the definitions that are included in the compulsory education code. Those definitions, the one that we talk a lot about is down at the bottom in section 13. It lists all of the valid excuses. So as a school or as a district, you can say, these are the reasons that we are going to excuse absences, and this is a list of those valid excuses. So these are ones that are valid by law. This was just updated, obviously, this last session, if you're familiar with the rodeo bill, where rodeo was added as a valid excuse. So these are ones that you can't take away as a school or as a district, but you can, it does, if you read through all of these, it'll tell you the last one says any other excuse established is valid by the local school board, charter school governing board, or school district. So you can also add to these as your own valid excuses. You know, one of the valid excuses on here, like we're talking about today, is an illness, and it says an illness which may be either mental or physical, regardless of whether the school-age child or parent provides documentation from a medical professional. So in simple terms, if a parent calls and says my kid's sick, or you calls and says I want to excuse my kid, and that you ask, well, what's the reason? And they say, oh, my kid's sick, that we have to take that as a valid excuse. So we wanted to point that out. And then the other one is in the same code, but it's just under section 205. So I just dropped the link to that directly, but this is just on approval of absences. And it does say the second thing on there says a local school board, charter school governing board, or school district may not require documentation from a medical professional to substantiate a valid excuse that is mental or physical illness. So I know that was new information for me when I came to USBE after being in a school for a long time. So we wanted to make sure that we just pointed that out. So if you're asking those questions, or you have other people that are asking you, like, how many absences does it take before we can ask for a medically excused absence? You actually, by state code and law, you cannot actually ask for medical documentation. That does not mean that you can't say, let's have you come in and have a conversation, or let's see if we can work together to try to help your student if they're missing a lot of school because they're sick. You know, maybe there's a different option that'll work for that student specifically. So we wanted to make sure we pointed that out. Like I said, we'll try to in all of our, or we won't try to, but in our webinar series this coming school year, like Garrett mentioned the dates for those, we will highlight different parts of legislation that are coming with more commonly asked questions, so that we can try to help you and point you in directions to what the law says and what board rule says. So if you have any questions about that, just let us know. And then I think the next thing we're going to talk about, Garrett is running the slides. Let me make sure. Okay, yeah. Is we are going to talk about the statewide attendance campaign. So we're going to give you a little bit of a back history with this. We have been working with a committee of different organizations, not just schools, and district representatives and school representatives, but also with some community members as well, and with our own public relations team here at USBE to develop a statewide attendance campaign. The reason why we decided to do that, and we'll go into this a little bit in the slides, but is we're hoping we can have a message that's statewide concerning attendance in our schools. The logo slogan we decided to use is "Every Day Counts." So that's our slogan. So, and you see our little logo on this slide. So I'm going to just kind of explain to you why we're doing a campaign and what that all entails, and hopefully how all of you are going to get involved in the campaign. So we're super excited. So why are we doing a statewide attendance campaign? Obviously, we know that chronic absenteeism has been rising. It did decrease slightly from last year, from the year before to last year. We don't actually know what our 2025 chronic absenteeism rate is yet. So hopefully it also decreased, but pre-pandemic levels were significantly, obviously lower than where we're at now. We know from research and other states that messaging works. States that use clear, positive attendance messaging have seen a lot of chronic absenteeism rates go down. And so we thought, why not try something that we can do? People are always asking, what can we do? Well, we can create a message. We can say, these are our expectations. These are the things that we believe. And a big other piece of that is everyone plays a role. We know that students, families, schools, and communities must all partner together in order for us to address chronic absenteeism and attendance throughout the state of Utah. So we're excited to start this campaign. Our goals with the campaign are to, Garrett, we go to the next slide, thanks. Reduce chronic absenteeism rates, obviously. Internally, we have a goal to reduce chronic absenteeism by 50% in the next 5 years. That is one of our goals as an attendance team at USBE. We also are hoping through this campaign to work on that. And then obviously, as we reduce chronic absenteeism rates, hopefully our daily attendance rates are also going to increase. And then one of the other huge things that we're hoping will happen through a campaign is that we'll raise awareness of the impact of attendance on students and families and communities throughout the state of Utah. So those are kind of our big 3 goals of what we want to accomplish. So how are we going to do this? So we've spent a lot of hours talking to a lot of people, gathering a lot of feedback, and we feel like we've come up with a pretty good plan to start. First of all, we'll talk about each of these things as well this morning, but we're going to have a statewide attendance challenge. We'll talk more about that. We also are engaging people to become attendance ambassadors and create a network of support for our communities and our students and our teachers and our families. With that, we have monthly messaging. So we have little monthly nudges that can go out in newsletters, either at a district level or a school level, and can also be used throughout the community if they want to. We also have monthly social media posts that we've created that then you don't have to create as a school leader or within your own community organization. We have other LEA school resources and implementation tools that we'll share with you and show you. And like Garrett already talked about, we do have an attendance toolkit. If you have not looked through the attendance toolkit, I would highly suggest, if attendance is a focus for you, suggest reading through the attendance toolkit. It kind of outlines some of best practices. I'm going to drop that link in the chat, and we can also send it out. And like Garrett said, it is also on our website. And I'll put a link to our website in the chat as well, because our website, you have to go through like 3 deep to get through it on the USBE website. So if you're not familiar, you might not find it. But we're hoping to change that, because all of the statewide attendance campaign resources are going to be available on our website. And like Garrett talked about already a little bit, we are going to have ongoing webinars and professional learning to continue to enforce attendance throughout the state, and also the idea of statewide attendance messaging and a campaign. So that's kind of the big overview of the big things that are involved so far. We're hoping to add to this. So the first thing we're going to talk about is how can you get involved? So we want you to join our statewide attendance campaign challenge. So part of that is we're asking people who are willing or who want to join the challenge, I should say. There are 5 things that you have to commit to doing. And yes, Amy, I just saw your question. These slides will be available. We're also recording this webinar and it will be uploaded to our website. And I'll also send out the slides to our listserv. So if you're not on our listserv, make sure you send me a quick email and get added to that. We send out monthly newsletters and we'll send out all this information as well to our listserv. So being on that listserv will give you lots of access to lots of awesome information. So the 5 things that you're committing to if you decide to join the challenge is, first of all, we are asking that you unite your whole school. So with that, you're going to rally students, teachers, and families in a team effort to improve attendance and kick off the challenge. That could look different in every school and every district, but some way we want you to commit to uniting everybody in this campaign effort. The second thing is that we want you to empower your teachers. We know that teachers obviously are so crucial in so many ways, but especially when it comes to attendance. You know, you have kids that never miss certain classes. I experienced that a lot as a school leader. So, equipping teachers to take daily attendance and build positive relationships that motivate students to attend every day. So part of this challenge is you would tell your teachers like, hey, we're joining the statewide attendance challenge. We want you to focus on taking attendance and obviously building relationships, which you're already doing. So hopefully it's not asking more of teachers than what they're already being asked to do. So tracking progress together. Unfortunately, right now, the way that things stand in our state, we only collect attendance data once a year. And so it's hard to have data to kind of see how things are going statewide. So we're asking if you join the challenge that you're willing to share a mid-year update by January 9th to kind of tell us how your chronic absenteeism rates are in your district or in your school and just kind of give us an update on how things are going. So whoever commits to the challenge will be reaching out to you and saying, please send us an update before January 9th. And then the next thing is that you just engage families as partners. So work with your families in school groups like your school community council, your PTA, other parent organizations, boosters, whoever that you engage with in your district or in your school to spread the word and build support for attendance goals that benefit obviously every student. So we want you to unite your school, empower your teachers, track progress, engage with families. And then the last thing is to just celebrate and inspire your community. So be willing to share your successes. Garrett, will you go to the next slide? Maybe. We want you to share your successes and inspire others by being featured on our website and be a participant, obviously, in the statewide effort. So if you want to join the challenge, there is a Google form. All you have to do is fill out the Google form and say, yes, we will do these 5 things. We want to be part of the statewide attendance challenge. I will drop that link in the chat. So if you want to, there's also a QR code on the slide. Garrett, can you go to the next slide? Yeah, I might need to switch over and share my slides. I don't know why it's the lag. There's a lag. It's okay. There's a QR code. Yeah, sounds like, yeah, there's a lag. So I might need to switch over to my slides. Anyway, if you want to join the challenge, we would love to have you join our challenge. Let me see. Sorry, we're having some technical difficulties, which is, of course, let's see, going to happen. Sorry, I'm just trying to start sharing my screen and it's not letting me.
Megan, if you make me a host, I can share.
Okay, I think I got it now. It was just taking a second. Sorry. Okay, sorry. There we go. Maybe. No, sorry. Okay. Clearly, I don't know why this is not working. Okay, can you see that now? Maybe.
Yep, we can
Yes.
see it.
Okay. Let me see if I can. Okay, perfect. Here we go. Sorry about that. Okay, so here are the resources that we are going to be sharing with LEAs and schools. So like we talked about already, there will be monthly newsletter, email messages. We'll send you a scripted message for every month that you can just include in a monthly newsletter or an email home to parents focused around attendance. So you don't have to recreate that. And then we'll have common messaging happening every month throughout the state. These are some of the social media posts that you will get access to as well if you decide to join us in this statewide attendance challenge. These posts can be reposted, or you can also, add your own slogan to them or your own district logo, or however you want to post those on social media. So you'll get a little bit of a preview of each month, kind of the theme that we're focusing around. Some of it's around, coming to school. Obviously, everything's around that, but like addressing mental health issues, working with families, stuff like that. We've also created a bunch of posters and flyers and postcards that you can also use within your own school or in your own district communities. There are posters that you can hang up in the school talking about, hey, look, our school has decided to join the statewide attendance challenge. There's an attendance calendar that you can print and give to families, and so kids can see. You could circle how all the days that they've missed. You can talk about how you're going to make a plan with that. There's a too sick for school that you could send out as well. And there's a bunch of other posters and other resources. There's a community handout that talks about how does attendance impact the whole community and not just the school. So there's a lot of flyers and handouts that we have created that we will share with you as part of the campaign. We are also creating a shared statewide attendance Google Drive. This Google Drive is in the works. I tell people that every time I share it, that we're adding things to it pretty much every day. We're trying to collect more information. This doesn't just include campaign information. It also includes other things that can support attendance work in your LEA or in your school. So we have attendance policies examples, we have teaming information, we have intervention ideas, attendance letters examples, more information on messaging, other social media posts that other people have created throughout the state that you can also use. A lot of really great information. And like I said, we'll be updating this throughout the year and hopefully in lots of years to come. We'll just create a great network of resources that are available to everyone, that you can go to one place, find a bunch of help, and find what it is that you're looking for. The last thing that we're going to talk about the campaign is just becoming an attendance ambassador. So some of you that are on this call are already attendance ambassadors, which is awesome. So what is an attendance ambassador? So an attendance ambassador is somebody who is working hard to promote students attending school, somebody that knows about the campaign and helps spread the word within their own school and in their own community. This person cares about students and their success in school and out of school. And this person supports others by sharing tools and pointing them to helpful attendance resources. So to be an attendance ambassador, that does not mean you have to know everything about attendance or be an attendance expert or to have perfect attendance happening in your own school or in your own LEA. It's just that you are somebody that is wanting attendance to change and wanting students to be in school and cares about students, obviously. So who are our Utah attendance ambassadors? So here are a bunch of faces. These are some of our current attendance ambassadors. Most of these people on this slide work at USBE. They're people who are a part of our attendance team, or people who are saying like, you know what, I want to be a part of this effort and I want to join. So we have Cassie Hayes, Kendra Murr, Susie Estrada, Jennifer Wadsworth, Kathy Gray, board member Cole Kelly, Lavinia Grippentrog, Sharon Turner, and Betty Jimenez. So we're really happy that they have all joined and decided to become an attendance ambassador. Here are some other awesome attendance ambassadors. I know some of you are actually on this call, but I warned you that we were going to put your cute faces on here. So Alden Jack, Colleen Dolan, Kim Schaefer, Nikki Stringham, Jamie Kent, Jenna Landward, Michelle Reyes, and Tamara Larson are also attendance ambassadors. And we also have Evan Feinberg, Ben Treadleman, Brett Peterson, Erica Wood, and Amber Bonner. So you might be saying like, guess what? My face isn't up there, but I want it to be, which is what we hope all of you want, is to become an attendance ambassador to help us promote attendance throughout Utah and to join us in this awesome statewide attendance campaign. So it's really easy to get involved. All you have to do is be willing to do those 4 things that we talked about. Just send me a quick email, include a headshot so I can add your face to our slides so we can say, you know what, we have hundreds. Our goal is to have thousands of attendance ambassadors before the end of this school year, because I hope lots of people, as they find out about that, they're like, you know what, that matters to me too. Obviously, everyone is welcome to become an attendance ambassador, and the more voices we have working together, obviously the stronger impact will be. We're hoping as we push the messaging out that every day counts and that we care about students and we care about attendance throughout Utah, that hopefully we'll start to see some positive changes with our attendance. So we'd love to have you get involved with becoming an attendance ambassador. Here's just a quick overview of the campaign timeline. So obviously today we are launching our Everyday Counts at our webinar. We're telling you, you're the first ones to hear about it. And then invitations to become an ambassador and to join the statewide attendance challenge, those will be going out to our listserv and also on our website just throughout the rest of this month, and also all of those resources that we talked about, plus more than what I showed you. Those will also be available through our shared Google Drive and on our website. And then we actually will be doing some official like press releases to announce the campaign through all of our media outlets throughout the state of Utah as well, as soon as school gets ready to start in August. So if you have questions, obviously we are also, all 3 of us are the USB attendance team. We are also attendance ambassadors, if that wasn't obvious. But we would love to answer your questions. We would love to have you join us. The campaign is going to be something that hopefully that we can get a lot of people excited about and involved in, so that we can start to see some positive messaging around attendance, not just a focus on how bad chronic absenteeism is right now. So we're hoping some positive things. And as we do that, we hope we can help support the work that you're doing in your individual LEAs and schools. So with that, I'm going to turn the time back over to Garrett to talk about September Attendance Awareness Month. But if you have questions about the campaign, feel free to drop them in the chat. You still see my screen? The slides?
Yep, we got your screen.
Okay.
So sorry if my internet was a little scratchy. If I have to turn my video off, I will. But I'm going to talk about September Attendance Awareness Month. This has been something that's been going on since 2013, so a little over a decade. If you want to hop to the next slide, Megan. So what is Attendance Awareness Month? It's a month-long campaign that emphasizes the importance of regular attendance and the impacts of chronic absenteeism, as well as the positive impacts of coming to school. It's a time to raise awareness about absenteeism and how to address it. Oh, I think if you can hop back one more, sorry. I think if you could just go, there we go, perfect. Oh, all right. And then it's also a call to action for schools and families and communities to work together to improve attendance. Next slide, please. So why promote attendance awareness month? Regular attendance is a predictor of academic success and student achievement. Chronic absenteeism can lead to various negative outcomes like academic struggles, social and emotional difficulties, and an increased risk of dropping out. By promoting attendance and engaging multiple stakeholders, we can draw awareness to attendance issues and barriers while looking for solutions and also share attendance processes with everyone. Next slide, please. So how can we promote Attendance Awareness Month? Launching a campaign. So we have our statewide campaign that we're releasing today. Also, you can create your own at the district or even just school level. And Attendance Works also promotes a attendance campaign during this time period as well. So you can host events to engage families and emphasize the importance of attendance. And then this is a great time to start working with community partners to identify and address barriers to attendance like transportation, health, including mental health, childcare, personal needs, which could be clothing, hygiene, food, any items that might be a barrier for students to come to school. Next slide, please. All right, so this is just kind of a hypothetical calendar for this September that we have right now. Obviously, the first is going to be Labor Day, so you wouldn't have school that day. But starting with that first week, you could start by sharing your actual attendance policy. And then the next day, sharing the expectations for either your district or school. And then sharing the goals. Like we've already shared that our goal is to reduce chronic absenteeism by 50% over the next 5 years, but maybe your school has their own specific goal, or your district has a goal. And that's a great time to share that to get people that are going to be able to engage and help support that goal. You could share the procedures that your school or district has when to excuse absences, how many days can be you can wait before excusing, what the process is to do makeup work for that time period as well. And then the next week, you could look at creating some sort of spirit week to get more kids engaged coming back to school. You're just starting to kick things off. So you can sub anything in on these, but have kids dress in school colors, dress as a superhero, wear a pattern, Utah attire to represent the state, a hat day, something like that, but just some way to promote kids being there, creating that culture around attendance. The next week, you could look at a class or grade level challenge. In the secondary level, grade levels are usually a lot easier to do. And then elementary, you could look at specific classes or grade bands to see which one has the most improved attendance or the best attendance during that time frame, or even just daily challenges as well. And then creating a week where you can look at school club signups, utilizing like the mezzanine or a field or a gymnasium. So all clubs that are at the school can promote themselves. Students have an opportunity to see what they offer and then also sign up. Have an after school program day where those programs that interact with the school come in, again, promoting themselves, talking about their criteria, what they offer, and how they can partner around attendance. A day to share out the community resources that come into the school or are available through the school to help with attendance. Connecting with the PTO organization, looking for volunteers, also offer what they offer and how they can kind of be impactful around attendance. And then community partners. Studies have shown that community relationships and community partners are the #1 thing moving attendance. And so how can we bring those community partners in to highlight what they're able to do? And then the last couple of days, since it is that shortened part of September, sharing the impacts of chronic absenteeism and those long-term outcomes, and then also sharing the benefits of being in school, peer connections, relationships with trusting adults, social emotional intelligence, and some of those soft skills as well. Next slide, please. So what are you or have you done to promote Attendance Awareness Month. We're going to pop into a couple quick breakout rooms. We'll take about 5 minutes to just kind of discuss things that you might have already done or things that you're looking at doing. Before we come back, if you guys could just nominate one person that could be the speaker for your group, to just share out a couple highlights of what you had found, that would be awesome. All right, welcome back, you guys. Hopefully you had some good, quick conversations in there. Some ideas around Attendance Awareness Month. Our group had talked about just some different components. We had people from the school level and the district level looking at ways to support schools, highlighting some of the resources that are available as well, and then talking about different like positive incentives to try to get kids and families really excited, reaching out to community partners, gift cards, a lot of other ways that are really able to get kids excited initially, and then hopefully those harder conversations can come down the line of the impacts on attendance as well. If we could get like 3 other people from the breakout rooms to share out just for the sake of time.
Yeah, I'll go really quickly. So my group, we talked about having parent engagement flyers in multiple language that will be available at the beginning of the year, just talking about some of those incentives, funding for teacher visits to go to homes when kids are absent frequently. We also talked about after school programs and other community partners understanding what the school's absenteeism policies are and working to align and support with them.
Awesome. Yeah, those are all great ideas. Thanks for sharing, Ben. See some celebrations from Susie. Awesome. We have another volunteer that can share out.
I'll share what our group talked about. So I think something that
Thanks,
was
Jennifer.
maybe a little bit different is incorporating our school nurses too. They have a critical piece and they can help support our families and our schools. And so being more intentional of looking at those other employee groups that maybe can help support us in our efforts. And then some incentives for teachers, those teachers that are reporting accurately for attendance, doing some of those things that help us really look at the data and have accurate data, because that's sometimes a barrier. So some of those components, and then that intentional messaging that was shared by another group and having more frequent positive messaging.
Yeah, I love all those ideas as well. That's awesome, especially like really supporting. So we have actionable data that's accurate and promoting those positive behaviors from staff as well is fantastic. Just for the sake of time, we won't ask for another person, but I appreciate you guys all sharing. Hopefully you got some other ideas from some of your colleagues as well. If you could hop to the next slide, Megan, thanks. All right. I'm going to kind of dive into some attendance teaming really quickly. Attendance teaming is like the #1 thing that we're asking as people start engaging in their systems development. And so there are a few different ideas if you're coming at this from the district level or the school level. And so as you develop your team, the idea is that you're creating that like 1 time a month meeting, at least for an hour is what we're looking at for best practice. But getting multiple stakeholders from the school community that can help you with those systems. And so this is kind of an example of at that district level, what we're seeing on effective teams. So a student service director, and bear in mind, like you guys probably all have different titles, but similar positions. So like a student services director, if you're able to fund a position as a district attendance specialist, kind of like Jen was alluding to, but a health and wellness consultant or a nursing lead, district counseling specialist, a prevention specialist, safety specialist, an IT and SIS specialist, because that's how you're going to be able to get your actual data and reports ran. And then getting leaders from every level, high school, middle, and elementary. And if it's possible to bring in some teacher leaders, as you develop these systems and have larger asks for different roles, finding out if the capacity exists and also what you might need to create or kind of develop so that capacity is built up for teachers or admins that are actually on the ground doing the work in the building. So this is kind of an example of a district team. On the school side, it would be much smaller, obviously less people in the building, but similar idea. So we're looking at, we have an example from Ogden School District, but having some sort of admin, whether that's a principal, assistant, or admin intern. We have a school counselor, and then also a secretary, since they're the face of our attendance systems at the school. And then a district level specialist if they're able to come in for those meetings. And then optionally, depending on the site, if there's an instructional coach, behavior interventionist, social worker, AmeriCorps volunteer, if you can bring in a parent leader or a teacher as well. Those are some different things that could hop in and help support that school level development of attendance systems. And then just some agenda and meeting ideas. So we do have an example agenda that we're sharing with you guys. Feel free, if you have agendas that you utilize for other meetings, to sub things in. There are some time constraints that are put on there just to help maintain that meeting and keep things flowing. But this is for a tier 1 attendance meeting. So not looking at individual student data, looking at that overall system development, but setting purpose and direction early, being intentional in the meeting, helping you set goals and stay on track, giving out assignments, and then making sure to listen to everybody that's involved. That'll be in the slides that we send out as you want to dive in. But as you're looking at the frequency, I kind of mentioned best practice would say meeting on tier 1 at least one time per month for at least an hour. Pre-schedule these. Make sure that you have them on your calendar first Monday of every month or whatever works for your team. It is okay to not hold a meeting during your peak times of the year when you're already overwhelmed and stressed. But as you get more experienced and move down to that school level, you might start developing a frequency of 2 times per month for maybe 30 minutes or an hour, which will eventually allow you to start looking at that individual student data, where you're addressing more of those tier 2 and even tier 3 students in your buildings. And then next slide, please. All right. These are just a couple of resources as you potentially. We have a root cause information sheet and a worksheet that helps you kind of look at what those root causes are and what you can do to develop that. Also, if your site has a transportation plan to help students, whether it's with carpooling, busing, finding other students that are nearby that they can walk with, anything like that has been able to help with some of those root causes. And then an attendance plan. This is the link that will be provided is for an attendance 3P, which you need to have a student and a parent as well as faculty. So we know that a lot of students that are missing, especially in those younger grades, it's not necessarily up to them on getting themselves to school as much as it is family. So creating that family engagement and buy-in, coming up with solutions and plans that help each person know their role and how they can support that, and then having follow-up to be able to track that the intervention was successful or is improving as well. So a couple resources. Feel free to reach out as you're looking through any of these to Megan or myself, and we can have some conversations around them. Before you guys go, we would love if you could take our exit survey. There's the QR code here. There's also the Google form link. This just helps us see what other topics you guys would like us to address and help us make some improvements moving forward as well. And again, our contacts, they're going to be on the last slide. We do have a few minutes left as well. So if any of you have specific questions, anything that we can help out with for the time being, we'll definitely be staying on to have some conversations with you. Well, thank you guys for coming. It was awesome to see everyone.